Doing a little bit more quick soldering tonight. Got plans here for an auxiliary input, a phono input for an AC/DC radio. This is a transformerless set, plugs into the wall, and this is going to be a slightly isolated input, stereo on one side, mono on the other, and it should let you plug iPod, phone, whatever, into one of these radios safely without actually connecting that device directly to the mains. Even if this common, potentially the RF common in the radio, is linked right up to the neutral side of the line cord. And if you plug it in backwards, that can become the live kind of side, and then things get weird. But this has this wonderful little triad transformer. And these, I picked up a couple from Mauser, and super fancy packaging. They come with a printed copy of the datasheet. Has the pinout and some of the information, a whole bunch of useful stuff on here. And these are the 3-pin ones. So 3 pins on either side. Center tap. They come in a split as well. And for this, I'm just going to be doing some dead bug wiring. So the resistors that I have tonight are a pair of these little Vichy 1-watt sausages. I'm just going to pump those in along with a pair of plugs, so 1/4 inch. Just got these in a big bag of them. I have some fancier ones that I'll use for the final version, but for now, these will be fine. And the plans. Hopefully this doesn't get too blown out. Looks like it might be okay. Pretty straightforward plan. Got it from a post on Antique Radio, and I will link that. So there's still a few bits of wire here from the Holocrafters upgrade project. I haven't totally cleaned up yet. And I need to make sure with this transformer, there's a blue dot, and that is supposed to go this way. So the pattern here, the blue dot is on the common, and I should have marked that down. It is in the original schematic. So I'm going to flip that over, blue dot on the top right here, and that's going to be the common output, positive output, and then the input on the side. It's a pretty straightforward circuit. It's really just here to keep your phone from being directly connected to the wall. Instead, it will go through this little magnet. So I need to grab some wire here and the solder. And I think I have the chunky lead tip on there from last time, so that's what we'll be using, 60/40. Don't think these need their entire lead, so I'm going to clip those down a little bit, at least on one end. Try and keep them somewhat even. The most important thing about resistors is to make sure the color bands all match, because if they don't, then they just won't work. You'll have to take them out and do it again. That's not actually a scientific fact, just personal preference. Now these appear to have a pretty good solder cup there. This is rotating, so if I can just get that in the right spot, I'll fill up the cup here with a little bit of solder and get started. Definitely going to need to get my fan turned on for this. It's already smoking quite a bit. Typically this fan it's not audible in the recording, but I'm going to have to check that afterwards. Hopefully it doesn't wreck all of my audio. just enough solder on the end of the iron here to tin this lead. Get that right in there and locked in. Still warm. Looks pretty good. Probably try not to touch the hot things. You can sort of see, even with this huge tip, when the solder actually takes and the capillary action happens within the cup. All right. Now these are supposed to be connected. This is becoming mono input. And try and keep some of the tension off the lead here. Bend it over pretty specifically. I do have a set of the stainless steel needles that you can use for this, and they work pretty good actually. I definitely recommend getting those. See if I have the right size. So these really help prevent too much pressure on the actual joint between the lead and the component. And they are not expensive at all. It's just little stainless steel needles. Can't decide if I should twist these or just tack them together. I think I'll give them at least a couple twists. Make sure it stays in place. And these resistors and these super long leads, the solder just wicks in right away. You hardly have to do anything to stick them together. I do need to ground both of these. And that will also be connected to a single point. Two roughly matching pieces of wire for each side's ground. Normally I would use the stranded for this, but considering I'm just doing it dead bug, I kind of want it to be as rigid as possible, and this solid core stuff really helps with that. Threw the other piece on the ground. I'm not sure where it went. All right, found my other piece of wire. I got this tinned. And these have a little hole through the middle. I need to soak that with some solder before I do anything else. want to bend these over a little bit. I can sort of hook them through. And then I'm not sure the best direction to do this from. Let's get these through the way I want them. Yes. It's just not hooking through there. There we go. That looks like it might be working. Looks like it's holding pretty well to me. And then that will pretty easily bend up to here. Just come in to meet one of the other pins on the transformer there. Hook this other one on. This whole assembly is trying to escape from me. There we go. Did that work? It worked. It could use a little bit more solder, but it definitely worked. Patch that up a little bit. Yeah, that's better. And then according to the plans, with the blue dot on this side, the resistors come into the middle tap here, middle tap on the left, and the negative wires come into the bottom left. So I did not take it all. Well, that stayed in place. It also scorched my finger. That's on there pretty well now. Do a couple attempts. I clipped off. Now I need to strip down these other two and attach them to this bottom pin. I'll pop the end off of each one. And this, and then hopefully a little bit of solder for this to stick to. Really nice sneezing. Feels like it's on there pretty well. I don't actually need all of the wire on this side really. Bend that up and then clip it off right here. I think I can actually probably take off the end like that. Get this fresh cut tins real quick, and then that will make up the whole input side. Get them both connected down to that. See how that looks. That lower one, yeah, black terminal could probably be tightened down a little bit, maybe retacked, but those are definitely connected. Should be good enough for electricity. Now, according to the plan here, the other side is actually really easy. It's just the outermost terminals, and I guess I'll still use the solid core for this because I ran out of red stranded earlier today, maybe last night. I haven't gotten any more in yet, so. And then my first planned target for this is an All-American 5 that I have. I've been working on. It is more or less in working order. Definitely needs tuned up, but doesn't blow up. So, it's always a good start. And then this will give me an easy way to inject audio. And it has a number of the components between the intermediate and output stages are just wrapped up in a single ceramic couplet. And I could test that, but I can't really get into it and replace it individually. I've heard of people replacing entire couplets as a network, sort of dead bugging it and then sticking that in place. And this one, if it's in a ceramic package, I suspect it could still be working. So I put some fake signals, some signal generator stuff with AM into the antenna side. That's the first step of the tuning, but I need to put it into the couplet now. And that's also where this will come in. There's a few different pins going into that, and one of the pins going into the couplet is attached to the volume potentiometer. So I think the best way to wire this up is going to be to put a switch in, and then you'll be able to switch between the whole RF, IF, etc. segments, the tube side, and this input. Both of them will still be controlled by the volume, so if you need to control the volume of the speaker, simple enough, you just use the original nut. Makes it a nice back panel only modification, so it still looks original from the front, which I think will go over well. This is pretty much done, and I need to get it all put together and tested. So I'm probably going to plug this into my computer at some point. It won't be the first thing. I'm going to connect it to a signal generator first up, and then later to my PC speakers output and get some audio playing, some music or something. Yeah, there. That all put together, and like I said, this is not an original design. I will definitely credit the creator and provide plenty of links to the original source. Before I wrap this up, I fired up the Siglent here. I'm gonna turn the signal generator back on, make sure everything's hooked up correctly, and then probably gonna have to use my phone and grab a picture of what the signal looks like coming out the other side. So this is the basic sweep, and you can see it sweeping in across the frequencies. There's a little bit of a spike there at the end. I expect that's the loading coming from the audio. I don't think this generator is really meant for this, and I should probably be amplifying it, but it'll work for the moment.